So let me tell you something I don't understand, and that is hate. I don't understand how people can hate someone or something that they don't know. But because of social media and the public nature of my job and career, I've dealt with a lot of hate in this world. And that's what we're going to talk about this week. That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to dive in and start having conversations about what I think it is and how we need to overcome it. So welcome back to the aha moments, where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work as a psychotherapist and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. I'm your host, Elliott Connie, and I've got a few haters. I've got a few haters for sure. So let's talk about the origins of this. So I'm someone who just genuinely does not understand hate. It's not something I think about. It's not part of my makeup or DNA. When I entered into the field of psychotherapy and started doing solution-focused brief therapy, I was so enthusiastic. I was enthusiastic about the work and the work that we do with clients, but I was also enthusiastic about the community. The solution-focused world is like a global community of professionals who do this work, and I was super excited about being there. And my first lecture at a conference was in November 2008, and I had never given a workshop before at a conference. And I gave the workshop, and I will never forget this guy walking up to me, and he said, "You're a very good presenter." Which kind of surprised me because I'd never done it before. It was my first time doing it. And he said, "And it's going to upset a lot of people." And I didn't understand what that person meant. I just thought, like, whatever. But I think when people notice qualities in you that they perceive themselves not to have, they become envious, jealous, and they try to tear you down. Now, one of the qualities in me is I'm a confident guy. It comes from the knowledge that I have been through tremendously traumatic things, so I have a confidence that I can handle challenges as they are presented to me. But it also comes from, I work really, really hard to master my skills, so I'm confident that I can perform the tasks at hand related to the job I am doing. But I realize now that not everybody has that level of confidence, and when they see you happy, joyous, and confident, when they feel like they're missing happiness, joy, and confidence, not everyone looks at you and thinks, how do I achieve that, or how do I get that? Some people look at you and they become so jealous that they try to tear you down. They try to take that from you. I've had many, many people do this. A woman named Therana Nelson actively tried to ruin my career. A man named Mark Mitchell actively tried to ruin my career. A man named Frank Thomas actively tried to ruin my career. These are prominent people in the psychotherapy field. These are prominent people in the solution-focused world that I don't really know. Mark Mitchell, I've never had a conversation with him, ever. But he would join public forums and try to tear me down. And I realized something through this process. I realized that negativity is irrelevant. And it forced me to stay my path and focus on the people who supported me and were inspired by me. It forced me to not pay attention to the people who had bigoted and biased and racist views at times. Forced me to not pay attention to people who were envious and jealous. And it was so funny because every time I would talk to someone about what was happening, people would say, "Elliott, they're just envious because you're having a lot of success and people are following you and you look so happy and confident, and not everybody in this world does." And I just thought that's so stupid, but it's accurate. So I just doubled down. I'm going to be myself. I'm going to keep doing my work. I'm going to keep along my path. I'm going to keep along my passion. And eventually those people just disappear because hate is a very weak structure. And love is a powerful foundation on which to build. So that's what I did. I do what I do because I love the people for whom I do it. And I'm not impacted whatsoever. I'm not impacted whatsoever by people trying to hate on me. I'm not impacted whatsoever by people with their negative views because I'm so driven to get the message to the people who have love in their heart. I want to put love in this world, and that even includes the people who are being haters. I just named some of those names, but you've never heard me insult them. I've never called them names. I've never said anything negative about them except to say that these are the things they did to me. And I think the best way to carry on is just to focus on your message and be yourself always. Never let a negative person dictate how you show up in this world. That's probably the number one thing I can ask you, is never let a negative person dictate how you show up in this world. So I want you to take a minute to think about, because I'm sure I'm not the only one. Maybe in high school, people were hating on you, or you're in college, people are hating, whatever. But how do you deal with haters, and what are your thoughts about it? Just take a moment and spend some time in thought. thank you so much for being here today. I really, really appreciate you listening. Please share this podcast on your social media platforms or with at least one person that you think would benefit from hearing this message today. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. You can do that on Apple, Google, Spotify, Simplecast, wherever it is you enjoy listening to podcasts. And you can also become a Patreon subscriber where every week we release bonus material that I think you would absolutely love. So thank you once again for being here. One love to all of you, and I will see you tomorrow. It won't come as news to any of you, but I get a lot of hate on my social media platforms and comments to things that I post on social media. The internet can be a really negative, hate-spewing place. And in today's podcast episode, I'm going to talk about how to overcome that level of hatred and vile communication and how to not let it bring you down, because we all have haters. We all have people that are rooting against us, and we all have people that talk about us. And I'm going to share with you how to overcome that and how I deal with it on a daily basis. So welcome back to the Aha Moments, where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work as a psychotherapist and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. Of course, I'm your host, Elliott Connie, and let's get into it. I can't really explain why, but throughout my entire life, I've had a polarizing personality. Like, if you meet people that knew me in high school, they'll tell you Elliott was like, I loved him, he was really great, or they'll tell you like I couldn't stand him, but you won't find anybody who has like a nil opinion. You won't find anybody who didn't know me, and you won't find anybody who didn't have an opinion about me, and I'm not really sure why that is. And that led to people talking about me in really hurtful and most cases untrue ways. And that is carried on through life. I'm not sure why that is, but it is. I talk about my best friend Matthew often on this podcast. And if you met him, he would tell you, in college, people were constantly talking behind my back. And I'm not sure why. Matthew was my very best friend, and people would walk up to him and they'd be like, don't tell Elliott, and they would tell him some of the rumors and things that were going on through the campus that weren't true. They just weren't real. But they were things that were negative and designed to bring me down. And the scary thing is, that was at a time in my life when I was depressed. I was really struggling and even suicidal. And these people couldn't have cared less. They were still interested in tearing me down. Now I'm sitting on top of the world. My career is going well, and my life's going well, and things are happening. And when I post something on social media, sometimes I'm shocked that someone took time out of their day to call me fat, stupid, racist things. And I'm just like, if you don't like something that you saw on social media, the easiest and healthiest thing to do is to keep scrolling. To take time out of your day to call someone you don't know a name seems odd to me, but that is in fact the life I live, and that is in fact what I have to deal with. So how do I do that? Well, I do that in a couple of ways, and I've learned these lessons throughout my life because I've dealt with haters often. And the first thing for me is to acknowledge they will always be present. So as a consequence of always being present, I can't worry about trying to please or impress everybody, because there's someone is going to always out there not enjoying watching you succeed, thrive, or shine. And they're going to be motivated to tear you down. But the most important thing, I think, is to learn to focus on the people who are in your corner. To learn to focus on the people who are cheering for you. To learn to focus on the people who you do have a positive interaction with. For me, that's the biggest key, because those are the people that fill me up. When I look back on those high school and college years and those people saying hurtful things, to be honest with you, I don't really remember them. But I'll tell you what, I remember Matthew. I remember the kindness and openness and warmth. I remember some, in my field, my closest friend is a guy named Adam Frower. And there were people saying horrible racist things. And I can tell you what, I remember Adam standing beside me and being my ally and being someone I could rely upon, because that's where my energy and my focus was. Guys, this is a walk it how you talk it moment. I talk about being positive, loving, caring. And I think what drives me is understanding how important that is. Wherever you put your energy, that's what you're going to experience. So I would rather put my energy in the Matthews and the Adams and the people who support me, like my business partner, Anna, I don't want to put my energy in the people that are calling me fat or the N-word or an idiot or dumb. All those things might be true, but I don't, like, pointing it out doesn't help. It doesn't do anything. Like, I might be fat, I might be ignorant, I might be dumb, I might be whatever. But if I'm trying to grow and improve as a person, I actually need to put my energy on growth and improvement. And I think that's the lesson here. That's what I do on a daily basis, and it's how I walk through this world smiling. It's how I do the things that I do. It's what keeps me going. And I hope you guys can implement some of this in your life as you deal with difficult things and people kind of hating on you as well. So think of ways that you can focus on living in a world where you can be positive or smile, even though not everybody in the world wants you to be positive or smile. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you listening. Please share this podcast with at least one person that you think could benefit from hearing this message today, and even on your social media platform to help me spread the word. That would mean the world to me. And don't forget to subscribe. You can do that wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple, Simplecast, Spotify, Google, wherever you listen to your podcast. I would really, really appreciate that. And you can also become a Patreon subscriber where you get bonus content each and every week. I love you guys. See you tomorrow. Yesterday, I talked about how to handle negative comments and how to handle haters when they come after you on social media. And today I want to talk to you about a different aspect of this. And that is, why is it when we have so many positive people in our lives, whether they're in real life or on social media, communicating their love and support to you, why do the negative comments stick out, sting, and last so much? There's actually something that happens in your brain, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. So welcome back to the Aha Moments, where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work as a psychotherapist and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. Of course, I'm your host, Elliott Connie. So I have a fascination about the human brain. It's part of what led to me becoming a psychotherapist in the first place. And your brain is a really, really funny thing. And the easiest way I can describe it is there's something in your brain that makes compliments. It's almost like someone is gifting you an object and they're saying, I want you to hold this and carry it with you all day. And a compliment or something positive is like an oddly shaped, heavy object covered in Vaseline. So that's really hard to carry with you all day. But insults and negative comments, they're light and they have really nice handles and they're really easy to carry with you all day. And that's what your brain does. Like, it hears a negative thing and it's really easy for your brain to accept that as truth. In fact, there's actually research that says people who say negative things about you, you perceive them as being more honest. And people who say positive things about you, you perceive them as being less honest because you think they're just saying that to be nice or just saying that to be kind. But here's the thing. You can actually retrain your brain. And you can retrain your brain to feed on positive things. You can actually retrain your brain to start to want to experience positive things. Because actually in its nature, that's the best and most healthy food for your brain. But too often, the food that we give our brains are negative because that's like the easiest stuff to digest. No, I don't know why this is, but I know that it is. And for me, I've had to work really, really hard. Like, the more public my profile becomes, the more public my work becomes, the more people I reach, which I love. It is probably the greatest thing in my life. I'm so pleased, honored, and it's an amazing experience. But it also means the more people that have a negative message, the more haters come into my life. And it has taken work to train my brain to realize the people who are saying positive things are the ones I actually need to give weight to. That's the stuff I actually need to carry with me. That's the stuff that means the most to me. The truth is, the people saying hateful things, they're saying it because of their unhealthy lives. They're not saying it because of yours. The people who are saying unhelpful and hateful things are saying it because of where they are in life, not because of where you are in life. And the quicker you realize that, the better it is for you. People don't say things about you because they believe that it's true. They say negative things about you because they want it to be true, because your power, your smile, your warmth, your positivity, your light is causing them pain and uncomfort. And they should have to deal with that. That is not your problem. It's theirs. These people need love. They need warmth. They are struggling. But that doesn't mean I have to carry the negative insult or the negative comment you have given me. It means I have to remember that comment is actually about you. It is not about me. So thus, I don't have to take it with me. So I want to tell you the truth. Like, your brain has an easier time carrying problem messages and negative messages than it does positive. But you can retrain your brain by focusing on positive things and the people who express love, warmth, and kindness towards you. It takes work, but it is literally one of the most powerful things you can do for your mental health. It is literally one of the most important things you can do for your mental health. It gives you control of your mental health, so then you're not just having a good day when people say good things and a bad day when people say bad things. You have a good day every day because you know you don't have to listen to the negative comments because it wasn't about you in the first place. So I'm going to tell you a little secret. I actually have a folder in my inbox where I save kind things people say to me. And people email me kind things or text me kind things all of the time. And I have a folder in my inbox where I save those things. So I want you guys to get in the habit of saving positive things people say to you. Journal them, write them down, save them digitally, however you do it. And then anytime you're having a bad day, I want you to go in there and read it. I promise this will change your life. Thank you so much for listening today. I love you guys so much for spending a little bit of time with me. Please help me reach more people by sharing this podcast on your social media platforms or with at least one person that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And don't forget to subscribe wherever it is you enjoy listening to your podcast, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Simplecast, Google, wherever it is. Subscribe and also become one of my Patreon subscribers and get bonus materials every single week. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. When it comes to how to respond to people sharing hate and leaving hateful comments and disrespectful comments on my social media, I get really, really bad advice from people in my life. And today I'm going to talk to you about that bad advice, why I can't follow it, and what I do instead. So welcome back to the aha moments, where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work as a psychotherapist and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. Of course, I'm your host, Elliott Connie. So I get different levels, I think, of negative comments on social media. Like there are some negative comments that are just like, I don't like your stuff, that sort of thing. And then there are other comments that are driven by hatred, like true, pure hatred and bigotry. Like I've been called the N-word, I've been called fat, I've been called ugly, I've been called like all kinds of things, like things driven by pure hatred. And whenever I talk to people in my personal life, like friends and family, people who genuinely care about me, they always tell me that like it's best not to respond. Just kind of let it go is what they tell me. But I really can't do that. Number one, my personality is such that I can't do that. It's not good for my mental health. I don't let it impact me like my day or my mood, but I can't just let it go because then I feel it's just not a good space for me to be in, to feel like people can just say those sorts of things and not be called out and not be addressed. But I think the other thing that's important about responding, and then we're going to talk about how to respond, is I want to genuinely fight racism. So if someone says these really horrible things, I'm going to respond in a way that lets them know that that's not okay. A lot of what I experience in this field is driven by systemic racism. I'm a black man who has risen to the very top of the psychotherapy field. And there aren't many people doing what I do that look like I look, either in terms of physically how I look, but also how I dress, also how I talk. So sometimes people respond negatively to me, not necessarily because they even have an opinion about me, but their opinion of me is clouded by their own biases. And it's really important for me as an advocate for Black culture and equality and equity that I address those systemic levels of racism by letting them know, if you don't have that comment for my white counterpart, then you shouldn't have that comment for me. A really good example is I started marketing my company digitally back in like 2016, 15, like in a serious way. And this was before COVID, obviously. So in a lot of ways, we were just ahead of the curve in that respect. And there were people publicly saying really horrible things about me marketing. Like psychotherapy shouldn't be marketed online and all. And people were really saying terrible, terrible things. And I have friends in England who also ran a training organization in the psychotherapy world. And their response was, when we started marketing our business in 1989, you guys cheered for us, calling us innovative. And no one had anything negative to say. Elliott is doing the exact same thing. It's just he's doing it digitally because in 1989, we didn't have digital tools available to us. Elliott is just using the tools available to him. But people wanted to be mad at me just because I looked different. They didn't have that same criticism for my white British counterparts. And it's important to me as an advocate for mental health and an advocate for racial equality and equity that I respond in a way that lets this person know it is not okay for you to be blindly driven by your biases. It's not okay for you to think you can say these things to, in most cases, a complete and total stranger. And then the other thing, when people are downright insulting, I don't want to let them know that I'm a human being on the other side of that comment. So I often reply with love, and anybody who would do that is hurting, like genuinely hurting. So I often reply with love, and then I block the person. But those are the things that I think are important. Like, you have to be able to stand up for what you believe in. You have to be able to respond in a way that feels right to you and allows you to sit with yourself. You also have to be aware that people are hurting and they say things that make it clear that they are hurting. But I always want to respond from a place in love and kindness. Now, I am human. I don't always do a great job, but I certainly try very hard to let people know that I know you're hurting and I love you. And I hope someone gives you a hug today so that you don't walk around feeling the way you felt. That makes you feel like it's okay to say the things you say and do the things you do. I mean, I don't know if everybody out there deals with the same level of kind of vileness I do on the internet. My life is more kind of internet findable than most people's lives, but those are really, really important lessons for me. So I hope you guys can take something from this and apply it in your lives and be an advocate for kindness when you're on the internet. Thank you for being here today and listening to this very important message. I love you for it. Please share this podcast on your social media platforms or with at least one person that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. You can find the share buttons right on the page where you're listening to this. And also, please subscribe. You can do that wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Simplecast, wherever it is you enjoy listening to your podcast. You can also become a Patreon subscriber where we release bonus content every single week. See you tomorrow. Love you. Happy Friday. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to handle it when you have experienced hate online or even not online. Like, what do you do? How do you handle the hate that comes from you, mostly on the internet, but really any place? We live in such a vile, negative society, and the internet is absolutely a place where trolls and haters can do significant damage in our lives. So today I want to talk to you about how to make sure that that does not happen and you continue on the way that you need to be. So welcome back to the Aha Moments, where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work as a psychotherapist and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. I'm your host, Elliott Connie, and we're going to get into some deep, important stuff today. So I'm going to talk to you about how to carry your life on after you experience hate online, and like I said, even beyond online. But in order to talk to you about that, I need to tell you one of the most difficult things that I had gone through in my career. I want to take you back to like 2016, before the world was so digital and so virtual, and before we all were fluent users of things like Zoom and stuff like that. I started taking psychotherapy training online because I could see most people were starting to utilize some level of online tools in their lives. Like, we, instead of going to the store to buy CDs, we were now downloading our music from Apple back then, right? And instead of going to Blockbuster Video to rent a DVD, we were using Netflix. So I wanted to make solution-focused brief therapy training materials just as available as those methodologies had made their things available. So I started doing these trainings online, and people in my field started really being upset with me. The students were really pleased and were coming to my work in droves. But the professionals, I would say the status quo, were very upset with me. And one person in particular, this guy named Michael Durant. on a public forum started saying really, really negative things about me. Now, to be clear, I didn't know Michael Durant. Michael didn't know me. We had met a few times at conferences, but we certainly didn't know each other. But he starts saying really horrible things about me. And it angered me, and it hurt me, and it upset me. We have a lot of mutual friends in the field, and he started telling these mutual friends that they need to get with me and get me to simmer down and stop doing all this work. And basically he was saying, like, Elliott's work is starting to overshadow everybody else, and you got to get him to slow down. And luckily my friends were like, no, like, Elliott, has every right to do what he's doing, and, we carry on. But here's how I handle it. And this is my advice to all of you. Never, ever, ever let a hater, never, ever, ever let someone who is trolling and just being hateful and not kind, never let someone who is attacking you dictate how you live your life, ever. Because I made the decision, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because it feels right to me, because it fits for me, because it is satisfying to the people for whom I am doing it, and because it sits well with me in my soul and in my spirit. I didn't care if Michael Durant or anybody like Michael Durant enjoyed it. I did it because it was what I would consider the right thing to do. I did it because I knew it was in line with who I wanted to be as a professional. I did it because it felt right. Now, over the course of time, Michael Durant, the field shifted, people started enjoying Elliott's trainings, and my name became more prominent, and Michael Durant had to apologize to me for the things he was saying. But it comes from, you have to have the strength to stay the course. In a lot of ways, success brings about haters. So the fact that there are haters there tells you that you're doing the right thing. If no one was hating on you, you're not doing something impactful enough. So develop the strength, the fortitude to keep going. Now, I don't want to say like it's all about strength, because I'll be honest with you, I had some really, really tough moments, and I surrounded myself with good friends who encouraged me, and they allied me, and they walked alongside me, and they did the things they would help me along the journey. So surround yourself with good people who love and care about you and will encourage you to carry on. But find a way to carry on. Never, ever reroute your life because some hater doesn't like it. Ever. In a lot of ways, that's what they want you to do. They're hating on you to get you to change. But your spirit is awakening something difficult in them, and let them deal with it. You keep being wonderful. You keep being great. You keep pursuing your goals. You keep going after what you want, and let the haters deal with it, and never, ever, ever be deterred. If there's one message I want you to leave this week with, our conversation about dealing with haters and negativity, it's that one. You go be great and never, ever be deterred. Please carry that message with you. Thank you so much for being here and listening today, listening throughout this whole week. It's really wonderful, means a lot to me. Please spread this podcast on your social media platforms, or with at least one person that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. You can do that on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just share it wherever you can. I'd really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe. You can subscribe in any place where you listen to podcasts. Simplecast, Spotify, Google, Apple, anywhere you listen to podcasts would be great. And don't forget to become a Patreon subscriber, and you get bonus material each and every week. I love you, enjoy, and I'll see you on Monday.